Right, so this is the second video in the series on personal branding and why it's critical in 2020 how to build the perfect personal brand. Of course, there is no such thing as a perfect brand, whether it's personal or business, but you can, with the right kind of setup, with the right kind of foundations, the structure and the architecture, you can come up with a personal brand that really gets you towards the kind of end goal. And that's part of what today's discussion is. We will start from the very beginning, right? Before personal branding, before deciding on social media channels or the marketing side of things, we need to do a little bit of homework. We need to establish what this personal brand is. And that for a business would be called as a brand strategy. And for a personal brand, it is something similar. We need to call it a strategy because you come up with a strategy, you come up with a blueprint, and then, of course, not set in stone, but something that you can actually really sort of depend on and follow on your journey. So the first step, as with any strategy, is to really look at the core purpose of your personal brand, okay, of you. So in the previous video, I talked about the two kinds of personal branding, one for career path on that journey, and the other for business, brand, and, entrepreneurs. That's a different kind of journey. But in either case, what you really need to get started with is a purpose. You need to have a purpose. Now, what is this purpose, right? People talk about purpose. Everyone has a purpose, but they don't really realize what that purpose is. Some people have clarity on that. Most people don't. Even businesses, having a purpose is fundamental. Purpose is something that you can actually kind of define in terms of what really excites you, why you get up in the morning, right? And you're motivated or you're excited about. Now, if you are not, and part of the problem, maybe that's why you're watching this video, because you're trying to build a personal brand and you don't really know what's going on. You don't really know what interests you or which path to take, which kind of direction you are to head. Then in that case, you need to sit down and work through what your purpose is. Now, a purpose is something that has a long-term effect, right? So just to be clear, so we have purpose, we have a vision, mission, and then we have values. So these are 4-5 different things that we need to look at, but first step is the purpose. Now, let's say, okay, we will take an example and walk through, right? And that way it'll become clear. So let's take, through this series of videos, let's take a persona, a person, and then go on a journey with that person. Let's say we take a guy called Jason. Okay, so Jason is our persona. Now, Jason wants to build a personal brand. He loves wine and he's been on a journey of exploring wine and he's probably taken a couple of diplomas in wine, maybe the WSET, level 2, level 3. He wants to get into the industry, and so getting into that industry means that you need to build a personal brand first. So for Jason, what could be the purpose, right? The purpose is to really do something that he enjoys doing and he loves, has a passion for it, a secret passion, maybe not, an inner passion. But also he wants to sort of eventually, or maybe even right now, make a living out of it so that he can make a living out of something that he loves and is effective in it, rather than just like a headless chicken, just going around, all that. So the purpose could be that he wants to explore his passion for wine and make a living out of it. That could be his purpose. Not a very sexy purpose, not a very unique purpose. It is what we all do. For example, my purpose is, this sharing knowledge is my purpose. I'm not kidding. And sharing knowledge actually has led me to my agency and then my incubator, the venture capital firm, and, all that. But it started with sharing knowledge. Believe me, it's as simple as that. Or is it, right? Okay. So you start with a purpose. When you want to build your personal brand, you got to sit down and think through and say, what is it that I want to do? Okay. Ignore, at least for the moment, the reason that you're building the purpose, the personal brand, which is things like, okay, I want to make money, or I want to become an influencer, and things like that. Those are the results. Okay, those are the results that would come out of personal branding. But we're talking about the purpose initially. Why is the question? Ask yourself why. Why do you need a personal brand, right? So that is the purpose. And I know it's a very abstract concept, and I can't really define the purpose for you. I can only tell you, and that's why I gave an example of Jason, of myself. But you got to decide what your purpose is, right? That is the first step. Then you got to work on your vision. So what is a vision? Now, for brands, a vision is, it could be either how they want their brand to be in, I don't know, 5 years, maybe 10 years. That's the vision, right? But for a personal brand, a vision is something that, for example, is a change that you want to bring about. Maybe it's a world change, or it could be your micro ecosystem change. That means your worldview, a change within your world, right? A change within yourself. But usually it is a change that you want to see in the world. And that is a vision. For Jason, the vision could be that he wants to come up with a kind of, maybe he wants to change the way world views wine or wine exploration, right? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people drink wine, but exploring wine is a different thing, right? Most people don't want to explore wine because they feel it's too complicated. They feel it's an enigma, right? Because most wines taste the same. They're either good wine or bad wine. That's about it, right? And most people, in fact, they just drink bad wine as long as it fits their budget. So people are not really thinking about the sophistication of wine, what wine really means. It's not a drink that you just drink to get drunk. Well, you could do that, but there's much more to it. Wine is almost like art, right? It's art that you consume. When you're drinking wine, you're drinking something that somebody made, handmade, usually, at least at one stage, there is a person, a group of people. In fact, multiple people, hundreds, sometimes even hundreds of people, that, to the journey of that, tilling that soil, planting the vine, or if there is already a vine, tending it, growing the grapes, picking the grapes, then going through the winemaking process, crushing, fermenting, and, making sure and putting up with the weather and, all that. Right the time to bottling, actually aging the wine, sometimes 2 years and 4 years in barrels. And then bottling the wine, marketing it, branding it, fulfilling it, goes down to the supermarket. And by the time it reaches your glass, it is a journey. And you're drinking something that somebody made across the world, right? Let's say you pick up a bottle of, a beautiful Pinot Noir from Burgundy, right? In France. And when you sip the wine, yeah, I know. Okay, I'll stop. I'm getting carried away. This video is becoming a discussion on why you should be drinking wine, right? Okay, so forget that. But you get the point, right? So Jason's vision could be that he wants to see people appreciate wine more. It's not a unique vision. It doesn't have to be unique. Okay, when you're having a personal brand, when you're thinking about your vision, even your purpose or your vision, or your mission or your value, they don't have to be unique. It's not like you need to look for a vision that no one has thought of, or no, that's not how it works. You need a vision that you believe in, which is authentic. It's not a vision that sounds good for marketing or sounds good for maybe it might make me some money. No, look. Yes, there are two ways of looking at, making money. One is, of course, doing things with the intent that they would make money. The other is doing things that really stoke your passion, and money will follow. I always say this. I work with a lot of, young entrepreneurs through my incubator, even through the branding agency. And the one thing that I always tell them is, guys, don't worry about the revenue aspect of it. At least don't worry about it now, right? If you put your passion, if you put yourself into the game, money will always follow. And I've seen it in my life. I've seen it in a number of entrepreneurs that I work with. It's foolproof. So your vision doesn't have to be unique. It just have to be authentic. It just have to be something that you can believe in. Okay, that's the vision. Then you need a mission. Now, a mission is not as long-term as a purpose. A purpose could be a lifetime. A vision could be relatively long-term, 10 years maybe. But a mission is relatively short-term, 1 to 3 years, okay? And a mission usually is something that enables you to turn your vision into a reality, right? Now, just to step back to Jason and his vision. He wants to see, his vision is to see people appreciate wine, right? And to appreciate wine for what it is and not just as an alcoholic drink. So his mission then, how can he make that a reality? His mission then, which is 1 to 3 years, is to start sharing everything he knows about wine, his passion for wine, so that, he can start sort of helping, even if it's a small group of people, realize that wine is this art form that you can consume, right? It becomes a part of you. Something that was produced, hundreds, thousands of miles away is now, is in you. And it's the history of wine. It's thousands of years old. I mean, there's this wine mentioned Egyptian times, and then the Greeks, and then the Romans, and, throughout history. It's even in the Bible, right? So wine has so much history, and you're consuming this history. So his vision, his mission then is 1 to 3 years. His first mission is to say, okay, let me start sharing my passion. Let me start sharing my knowledge. And that way, I can at least help some people appreciate wine. That could be the mission, right? And then, of course, you have the core values. So your core values are, again, made up of 2 different things. You have your fundamental core values. Okay, let's call them core values, right? Those that come from within. Those are the core values. And then you have values, your personal branding values, okay? So your core values are something that come within you. It's not something you create. They are you, right? Maybe you're someone who hates lying, right? That could be one of your core values. Integrity is a core value. Being fair might be a core value. So these are internal core values. But you also need your persona, your brand persona, your personal persona values. Now, in the previous video, I talked about how building a personal brand is really creating a persona, and why it's not a lie, and how, we play a part at every moment of our lives. And I gave an example of how when you're standing in front of your dad, you're playing the persona of a son. And when you're standing or son or daughter, and when you're standing in front of your kids, you're playing the persona of a father or a mother. And when you're with your wife or husband, so on and so forth. So we play personas, and same is the case with a personal brand. You need to identify what that persona is, right? And part of that is to identify your values, because what values do you need that will create a persona that will align with your purpose, your vision, and possibly even your mission? So you gotta think through your values, and you gotta come up with a set of values that will help you turn your vision, and your mission into a reality. So this is the starting point. This is the first step. You need to sit down, think through what your purpose is in life, and maybe more specifically in terms of this path, whether it's a career path, whether it's a business path, or entrepreneurial path. What is your purpose, right? What is my purpose, for example? My purpose is really to share knowledge, and I do it day in and day out. Not just on these videos. I write tons and tons of blog articles. I consult a lot of the times very freely with my clients on the phone, and I'm always giving my insights, and my friends can vouch for that, my kids can vouch for that, my spouse can vouch for that. I'm always in a sharing mode. That's my purpose. My vision is really to awaken brands, right? That's my vision. To awaken brands and to help awaken brands. That's my vision. And my mission, which is again the short term, is to have a healthy, growing, thriving YouTube channel, for example, or LinkedIn network, or blog, for example. So this is a mission. This is a short-term thing that is meant to make my long-term vision a reality. And the core values for that is full transparency. So, and integrity. There's a few more core values, and sharing is a core value, of course, because there's no selling here. It's about sharing. So anyway, enough about me. I'm talking so much about me. I usually don't, but I'm doing it in this video is because I want you to give an example so you can relate to what I'm trying to say. So your homework for today is to sit down, really, and if you drink wine, then get a glass of Chablis. Okay, get a glass of Chablis, a good Chablis from Chablis, right? And sit down and think through these things and create and write down your purpose, your vision, your mission, and your core values. Okay, and then leave a comment below. Share with me. Maybe we can start a conversation. We can talk about it. If you have questions, leave them below, and I will try and answer them. Or you can email me. Well, leave a comment, then I will DM you my email address, and then you can then email me, right? Yeah, so like I said, this is a series of videos on personal branding. The first one, I just spoke about why personal branding is critical in 2020 and a generic bird's eye view of how to go about building your personal brand. In this second video, I'm talking about the first step and, values, vision, mission, purpose, and things like that. In the next few videos, we'll go to the next steps of really building a personal brand. Okay, so I hope you like this video, and till my next video, take care.